He'll feed a family of 4 with that ass.
Yeah.
Welcome to the internet's #1 fake history podcast, The Lore Boys. I'm your host, Rough Riding Ethan Palmer, and the usual desperado, James Miller, is with me today.
Hello.
Of course, not joining us, waylaid, died of dysentery, is Peter O'Donoghue, not joining us today.
He pooped himself to death. He had access to water, he had access to food, medicine, but he just pooped himself to death, yeah.
And he did it because he loves it. And it's because he's passionate about it. And the thing about the Lore Boys is that we are extremely passionate about a lot of things. James is passionate about video games. I'm passionate about lore. Mm-hmm. Pete was passionate about shitting, but not anymore, unfortunately. He has slithered off this mortal coil.
He died doing what he loved.
That's it. You can't fault a guy for that.
No.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I do want to give a shout out to this week's new patrons, maybe last week's new patrons, but thank you for joining, subscribing, and supporting the show. Not Chigs, Roy D. Rushing, and Eat My Lemons. Nice. All good names. 3 for 3. Not all good ones there. Roy D. Rushing does sound like it could be a cowboy name, and we are going to be talking about some cowboys in just a little bit.
Dude, Not Chigs got a double, because I remember we did them on the Ghoul episode too, so you're welcome, Not Chigs.
I was looking at them just before, and I was like, I can't remember which ones we did do and didn't do, so.
Nice.
Thanks a million times to all of our patrons. If you want to support our show, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/loreboys. If you want to support the show in other ways, please take a moment right now to leave us a 5-star rating or review on your podcast app of choice. It really does help.
It does.
So today we'll be dipping our toes back into the Magic the Gathering well, which, reading back what I have written this intro, I'm pretty sure I've said exactly that in like 9 out of the 15 Magic the Gathering episodes we've done at this point. Maybe I think we've done more than 15 Magic the Gathering episodes. It's been
Lord's a flat circle. It's all going to come back. We're going to make the same jokes we did 10 years ago on the same topic. So that's fine.
Yeah. I realized kind of too late to correct myself on the bonus content, which we just recorded, which we release on Thursdays for the patrons. That I'm pretty sure I just told a Norm Macdonald joke where you call Hitler a jerk. I caught myself doing it like 30 seconds later. I was like, wait, was that? Where have I heard that before?
I thought it was a reference. I thought you did it on purpose. A lot of people a lot of comedians steal that one. I've heard that on like Segura's podcast. I've heard that on, I think, Santino's podcast. It's a good joke.
I mean,
worth reusing.
It's fair to say Norm Macdonald had a pretty drastic influence on my my sense of humor. So
yeah, on the world.
Yeah, that's fair. So we're going to be talking about the setting for the recent-ish set release, Outlaws of Thunder Junction. This is Aether Punk, so like magic science cowboys, essentially, is kind of the theme, if you will, of the set.
Wait, say that again. What now, cowboys? Magic cowboys?
Yeah, magic science, magic. Like,
okay.
It's using like... So we'll get into it. There's like a type of magic called thunder on the plane of Thunder Junction, or like they describe it as thunder, and it's like they use it to like power trains and power their guns and stuff. So their guns shoot lightning bolts, So they're cowboys, but they got like lightning bolt guns because they use magic for everything.
Cool.
Aether punk would be probably the term that you would use. It's like steampunk, but instead of steam being the infinite source of power, you just have magic aether as the source of power, right?
Right.
This episode was requested by no one, but I'll give credit to Honest Don, as recently he posted some of the card art for Outlaws of Thunder Junction, which they were just like wanted posters of like the main group that we're going to be talking about, essentially, and they just look fantastic. And I got the itch. I got the shaky hands.
He's a great member of the community. He's always just
one of the real ones.
Yeah, he's always like saying like stuff like "love your life" and spreading positivity. Yeah, he's in like every one of my streams. If you don't have a sub, he'll just give you one along with Sideshow Commissar. Honest Don's a real one. Yeah. So is Sideshow.
Absolutely. If you want more Magic the Gathering lore, I did mention just a few seconds ago that we have a literal ton of it. Check out our backlog. There might be some links down below. If I can think to go find them. They'll probably point to Spotify because our website's undergoing maintenance, I guess you could say, for the last year and a half. But
Finally got someone looking at it. The one person listening knows who they are.
Yeah, we got a professional who's awful cute. Even if you just haven't heard those episodes in a while, you can check them out. I will reference plenty of them. No required reading. For this episode, I will literally just say like, hey, here's this person. We talked about them on that episode if you want to learn more. So don't feel like you need to know anything about other Magic the Gathering episodes we've done. We could give a brief intro to what Magic the Gathering is, and I'll let Jamie do it because that's all the info that you need is how much Jamie has.
Oh, no. It's been a while. Okay, so Magic the Gathering, there's like a bunch of different planes of existence. The main plane is Dominaria. There's a bunch of... so what Magic the Gathering, the game is you play as a planeswalker who's summoning all these creatures into existence to fight your another planeswalker. And then planeswalkers in the lore are these folks who go through magic puberty, basically. There's a triggering moment which allows them to access their full power and to be able to walk between planes and explore the infinite universe kind of thing. So an example of that is Jace gets bullied and he goes, wah, and then he becomes one. Okay, and then he can do it, right? On top of that, there's a few different types of magic, which is like they're colored. So there's like white, black, red, blue, green, and that's it.
That's it.
5?
Well, there's colorless if you want to be technical about it, but
and a lot of decks are mixed, like a mix of colors or one solid color. But the colors have different meanings. Like blue is like arcane, white is like ordered, black is like chaos. I want to say.
Black is like death or like destruction. Red is kind of chaos and destruction. Like red is all like super aggro, lightning bolt this, explosions, like blow up your own people, blow up the enemy board. Green is typically growth, so aside like a kind of correlating to like having a small creature that gets like much bigger over time would be like green.
Blue is like a control deck kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
blue
is a lot of spells, a lot of counter spells is like the common blue thing is like you just play counter spells. It's the anti-fun decks are blue.
Right. I love those decks. The decks where you have a response for everything. Like,
also,
did you?
Yeah, also mill decks are blue. So it's just like you just destroy your opponent's deck and win that way.
Make them spend all their cards so they have no deck left to play.
Exactly. You did a pretty good job. A few things not quite right, but good enough for our purposes here. You did touch on the Planeswalker Sparks. I was thinking about it on the drive home today. I was like, that Jace story that I told ages ago at this point, I'm pretty sure is non-canon now. I'm pretty sure they've redone it, and that's not the one for him anymore. But he's had like 4 or 5. He is like the Mary Sue. He's the Jesus of the Magic the Gathering lore, where he just kind of can do everything and does everything all the time. So
we recorded that one in my apartment, so that was the
a long time ago. 90 years ago. It was insane.
Yeah.
So since we're going to be talking about the plane of Thunder Junction, you did mention multiple planes, and you did mention something in particular being planeswalkers have the ability to travel between the planes. They're the only people who can do that. Nobody else can. Regular humans, mortals, lizard folk, merfolk, whatever, who aren't planeswalkers can be brought to other planes, but it always carried a bit of risk for them, and like they could lose their mind, they could whatever, like viewing the blind attorney. So typically it was only the most powerful of beings could even survive that trip, even if they were brought by a planeswalker.
If you're going into one plane and a fly is coming the other direction into your plane, you could get mixed up and turn into a fly monster, like Jeff Goldblum, right?
Yeah, and the train arrives at 3:15 p.m. So we're talking about the plane of Thunder Junction. So the natural place to start is, of course, the Phyrexian invasion of the multiverse. Now, we haven't really covered this. We kind of kicked it off a little bit. We've had a few people request specifically that we cover the pre-invasion setting of Kaldheim, which I'm pretty sure I have said that I probably won't ever do. And of course, researching this one, I'm like, cool, there's a ton of relevant stuff from the Kaldheim one. Jimbo, you'll remember, of course, there was a Phyrexian Praetor, Sheoldred, who had been sent to Dominaria. There was Jin Gitaxias, another Phyrexian Praetorian, who'd been sent to Kamigawa. We talked about both of those arcs. There was a third Phyrexian Praetor, the one who we didn't talk about, Vorinclex, who went to the Viking-inspired plane of Kaldheim.
Okay.
the Phyrexians, if you are new here, you don't know what they're up to. Horrible machine monsters who wanted to take over the universe and make everything horrible machine monsters, right?
Yeah, meat is a to have meat on you is to be flawed.
Yeah, is imperfection, exactly.
Yeah.
So they were going about doing that, and they had plans to do that. And there was this whole ding dang Phyrexian invasion of the multiverse, which we haven't talked about specifically that arc. We did talk about like the setup to it and kind of the first phase of that arc, but I won't dwell on the actual task of Vorinclex on the plane too much. But the one detail which we will focus on real quick, post invasion, it has reshaped the multiverse, reshaped everything we know. Even the intro you just gave, Jimmy, is different now. It's not true anymore as of post invasion. So do you want to take a stab at what thing from Norse mythology would have the biggest impact on the multiverse?
Norse mythology? Oh, frick.
I almost told you to prime yourself on Norse mythology. It's okay.
Yeah. Wait, no, I'm thinking about it. Let me think about it. That's God of War, right? Is Norse?
Yeah, exactly. The new ones, yeah. God of War is also Greek.
So who's the big bad there that you have to fight in? There's...
You're cold. It's not necessarily a person from Norse mythology. It is a thing from Norse mythology.
Oh, the big long winter.
No, it is Yggdrasil, the world tree, which contains branches which touch all the 9 realms of Norse mythology, right? So how you would travel between the realms would be via Yggdrasil, the tree of life, the world tree. Oh. Kaldheim has a similar landmark, which, of course, was captured by the Phyrexians during their invasion to help them move throughout the multiverse, because it kind of has the ability to extend roots or branches into any plane of existence. So the Phyrexians ended up capturing it. We did talk about what it becomes. It ends up becoming a relic known as Realm Breaker. We talked about Realm Breaker and the Seed Core during our New Phyrexia Part 2 episode. There might be a link in the description that you can check out to our Spotify link to that episode if you're curious to hear more. But again, we talked about it a fair amount. What's important is that the Phyrexians were able to use Realm Breaker to spread what Kaldheim's world tree had already made, these things called omen paths. So omen paths are arteries between the planes, which, as long as you have a semi-stable gate into and out of them, anyone can use to travel between the planes. So
the way you said arteries and gate, like, made me think of like a stint to open up to like get through to the other plane. It was very
squeezing through.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Just getting like batted in the face by red blood cells, like as you're walking. Like, oh. It's so much easier when we're going to the heart, not away from the heart. Yeah. Or whichever way arteries go. I think
arteries are on the way back. Wait, what's
no,
the other
arteries
ones?
Arteries are out. Veins are on the way back. Right? I don't know.
That struck a vein. I don't know.
Arteries, your wife. Do they go out from the heart or into the heart?
I think they're out. Or no, back.
She says
they're back.
She says
out. Okay.
I don't know. Well, we're taking her word as she's Googling it anyway. So this opens up the multiverse to everyone, not just planeswalkers now. Now anybody can experience the multiverse. If you're a go-getter enough, you can find a path and you can travel between the planes. These paths are risky for non-planeswalkers. They tend to move and shift. They're not permanent most of the time. Some gates are more fixed than others. I couldn't find if there was a way to fix them even further via whatever means, but some seem to be pretty much permanent. Some seem to be semi-permanent, and then some seem to very much fluctuate. She's giving me a thumbs up, which means she's right. So
verdict. Okay, great.
Whichever one she said.
Blood out, arteries, veins, blood back in, or something.
Blood out, arteries, veins, blood back in. Nailed it. Well, welcome to our science show.
The gluteus maximus is the largest muscle in the body. The femur is the largest bone. How many? I got told this by like a teenager this week. So
why were you talking to teenagers?
Because I hang out with their parents and they bring them along.
There you go.
He's like, how many bones are in my hand? And he goes, 26, but 27 when I'm in the shower.
All right. All right, Francis. You're on your mom.
His name's Jack, actually, which is a pretty funny name for that.
For that joke.
Yeah.
I would. It took me like a full second and a half to process that like we're at the hanging out with people who have teenagers for kids stage of our lives. You know?
Yeah, a lot of the people at the park I hang out are a bit older than me, so they have kids they're a little bit younger. I'm also like the only guy there too. I was there yesterday. There was 14 women.
Jeez,
14 women. I'm the only man. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
If only you didn't have that thing where you clam up anytime a woman talks to you. You'd really hit it off with the people at the dog.
Yeah, they're all at one picnic table. I'm at the other one, just sweating bullets.
Yeah, you'll occasionally just like yell a sound over to them, like.
Yep.
Okay, so we have the Omen Paths, which have connected various planes of the multiverse that anyone can travel.
Omen Pass.
This not only opens up the planes generally to more people who have never traveled interdimensionally, this also opens up certain planes which haven't really seen much foot traffic at all. And that's the case for our subject today, Thunder Junction. So Thunder Junction, I said earlier, is Wild West mixed with Aetherpunk. Has
Thunder
all
Junction.
sorts of...
What's their function?
Oh, what's their under function?
We're shooting out lightning bolts and tying up bad guys. Junction. What? You remember that song?
I don't. I was jamming. It
was Schoolhouse Rock, Conjunction Junction.
Oh,
it would tell you about if
I've never seen a Schoolhouse Rock.
I've
never seen one in my life.
It was great.
I know. Oh no, wait! I was about to quote one, but I'm pretty sure it's a Simpsons parody.
There's the one about a bill
of rights.
Yeah, exactly, and that I think made it to the Simpsons. Right?
Yeah, he's on the Senate steps.
Okay. Sorry for my Schoolhouse Rock outbreak. We can get back to the important stuff. Yeah.
So we have this Wild West setting, all sorts of creatures crowding in to try and manifest destiny, just like the cowboys of old, right?
Yep.
Before the Omen Paths were opened there, however, Thunder Junction was a nearly pristine wilderness, completely unspoiled and uninhabited. Almost completely. There is one structure only, which predates even the Omen Pass on Thunder Junction, an ancient vault known by the locals as Mag Taranau. I don't know if you know Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy very well. I could not stop thinking of Magrathea, which is like the ancient vault that they're looking for in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I couldn't find anyone else online who was like drawing that comparison, so maybe I'm just like crazy. But to me, it really, really struck a chord. And then I saw somebody else, which I'll talk about in just a second, about the kind of a loose translation of what Mag Taranau could be. So it's likely a loose translation from Welsh or Celtic.
I think of Mag Theridon.
Okay, yeah, from World of Warcraft or from Warcraft.
Big old dragon demon thing. Yeah.
So Mag Taranau can roughly translate from Welsh or Celtic to Thunder Plain. So probably was a direct inspiration. Like that was probably the direct inspiration and not Magrathea. We won't talk about who built it yet this episode. It'll come up on the next episode, part 2 probably. But the people who did build it are heavily inspired by Irish folklore. So probably that's correct.
Nice.
This vault was massive. It is large enough for an entire town to be built on it, and that's exactly what ends up happening down the road. The town of Tarnation, great name for a town, will be built on and around the vault.
Tarnation, I like that. Yeah,
right?
It can be like kind of national, but also like Tarnation and like probably dirty back then. I feel like that's a great name. Yeah, that's great. Tarnation. What? Yeah. Tarnation.
We're the Tarnation. We're sticky. You keep your feathers out of here. You hear me? We don't need none of that chicken stuff.
Dude, like that Magic Gathering doesn't go so far as to add like Native Americans to the cowboy thing, right?
There are natives. We'll talk about it in a sec. I didn't find any lore about them at all, really. So no, they kind of brush over it. It is honestly like I was reading it and like it is refreshing that it is not just like white Americans who are settling the West, right? It is every creature from across the multiverse all kind of coming here at the same time. And I do think we will talk about it a bit later, but like there are some big names of like people that we're going to talk about here. Like there's some famous characters in the Magic the Gathering canon, some very old characters, some like, 15-year-old characters in the Magic the Gathering canon who are going to show up today. And I just love the idea of Rakdos, whom I will show you a picture of later, just being like, I'm gonna put on my cowboy hat when I go to the cowboy dimension. You know what I mean? Like they're all just playing dress up when they come here.
It's when you go for a trip to Texas. Oh, you got to get the boots. You got to get the hat,
boots and the tango. Exactly. Yeah. It's so funny to see. Like here's these like evil Machiavellian villains who have like come to this place and they're like, well, we're all going to dress up like cowboys because it's the thing to do. But it's like there's no culture to it that they're coming here for. They're not like, why would anyone do this to try to blend in? And I get it. I get like the mechanics of it is like they said we want to build a Wild West set, so like the characters have to be in Wild West. But I do love to think about how do you justify that in the lore to be like, here's this massive demon who's just gonna put on a cowboy hat and spurs.
That is fun. I wonder if like League of Legends canonizes like the beach skins and stuff.
Party, party reacting. Where was I? In addition to opening a new frontier for outlaws and opportunists across the multiverse, the Omen Pass also awakened the latent magic of Thunder Junction's leyline. Chaotic, destructive, and taking the form of blue lightning, the settlers quickly dubbed it Thunder, which would eventually lend itself to the plane's name. So you can kind of see where the plane's name comes from right now. The Omen Pass get to the plane. It activates the magic, which had kind of been dormant on the plane for a long time. And it's this like blue chaotic lightning, which they call Thunder. And we're going to end up with a lot of Omen Pass making their way to Thunder Junction, which is going to give it the Junction half of its name, right?
Okay.
It's going
Thunder Junction is such a solid name too.
It's a great name, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Outlaws of Thunder Junction is just. I mean, I love the cowboy aesthetic. Always have, probably always will. But yeah, I just love the Thunder Junction is great. We'll talk about we have some great names: Bertram Greywater, Archie Dixon, just some great names, some great cowboy ass names.
Yeah. Jim Raynor.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about damn time.
That was the other guy, wasn't it? Tychus Finley.
Oh, you're right. It was Tychus Finley. Yeah.
So from this magic, from the thunder, the settlers are able to create firearms, the thunder pistols and thunder rifles that we talked about before. It's this magic that allows them to build those. Also, as the Omen Pass awoke the magic on the plane, they also awakened Thunder Junction's only indigenous race, the Cactus Folk. So the Cactus Folk are the only indigenous race. They're relatively young because they were brought to life as the plane was kind of brought to life and as people kind of started arriving. They were probably here like for a few years before people arrived on Thunder Junction, but not for that long.
Damn. That's crazy. Cactus Folk, man. A little prickly. There's like camels that can eat cactuses, right? Like they can just bite right through all this. I think there's to get to the water inside.
Nature's crazy. There's a type of bird that like catches its prey and spikes it onto like the spikes of cactuses and like and will like leave them there to like hang essentially.
Dude, the kebab bird. That's great.
Yeah, it probably has a name like that, honestly. So
a brochette.
Shish kebab.
Yeah, it's just kebab. I like that one.
So here's just a fun little fact. This is flavor text from the vampire creature card from the set called the Desperate Bloodseeker. With no mammals around, some vampires tried to feed on cactus folk with horrible results for everyone involved. So on your king camels eat at cactuses, maybe, but vampires can't. Not effective.
Okay. There's a real life vampire that lives in my neighborhood.
Okay.
He's like 6 foot tall. He's got dark straight hair. He's completely gaunt.
Sleeps in a casket.
Yeah,
a big black robe with a red collar.
So skinny, and he like the way he walks is like a vampire, but he goes during the day. And I met him and his wife at the park the other day when I was with Luis, and he was playing music and singing and smoking a joint. And I was like, vampires are cool as hell.
Vampire, dude. Yeah. Dracula's so fucking cool.
We got some good vampires in the neighborhood. And they can't eat the cactuses, though.
No, nor garlic. So just watch out if you're doing like a barbecue or something. If you're doing a shish kebab for them, no garlic on that shish kebab.
Good to know.
Which I say like it's an insane thing. Like a clove of garlic is an insane thing to put on a shish kebab. But I do feel like if anyone would do it, it would be you. you would put.
It sounds great.
I know. I know you think that. It's insane, but I know you think that.
Dude, that's the whole thing. You roast garlic and then you can like smash it, and it's like it's more mild after you roast
sweeter,
it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Still insane to me. It's like I could feel it in my nose right now. Like I'm nowhere near garlic.
I think I could eat a whole head of raw garlic, dude, and be fine with it. So I'm definitely not a vampire.
Yeah, that's facts. That's facts for
Cactus,
sure.
I've not tried. I saw LA Beast try to do it on YouTube, and
tried to do it. He ate 2. He ate a full 2 of them. Tried. Put some respect on his name. God damn.
I didn't get to the end of the video. That's crazy.
If anyone hasn't seen it and would like to watch a man eat 2 cactuses, LA Beast on YouTube does it. It's absolutely deranged. I feel like we talked about this last weekend too.
We were talking, but it was off. It was just chilling time.
There you go. Just you and me talking about eating cactuses before we talk about vampires eating cactuses.
Well, because I think anytime Pete talks about vomiting, he refers to LA Beast in the Crystal Pepsi video, which of course leads us to talk about the cactus video because Laura's a flat circle.
Yeah, you're not bringing up LA Beast, and I'm not talking about the cactus thing. It's been 15 years since I watched that video at this point, and I'm still dumbfounded by it. So Omen Port is the closest thing to a capital city that the plane has. It is a confluence of a very large number of Omen paths on the plane. It's not like all the Omen paths go to Omen Port. Again, Thunder Junction has a very high volume of Omen paths. Omen Port happens to be like a lot of them did end up at that one place. I didn't see anything about like ley lines being tied to where Omen paths lie. I'm going to say Loreboy's canon. That's why the ley lines converge on Omen Port, and that's why the Omen paths chose that place.
When I'm just thinking more on Thunder Junction. Junction is usually like a place where trains meet, right?
Yeah, and it is a Wild West.
Yeah, and you're talking about how it normally steampunk. I'm like, well, steam seems okay. That will make sense for the train. Now electric trains, dude.
Right. Cool
this is crazy. Yeah, I know. It's this fucking Elon Musk on his electric train, man, trying to get to Mars.
Goddamn liberals took an electric train to Mars.
Yeah, they ruined our train yards, our junctions.
Yeah. So Ral Zarek, leader of the Izzet League of Ravnica, don't expect you to know that name, Jamie, but people listening at home will. Is here in Omenport attempting to build a relay tower to make interplanar communication possible. So he's trying to invent, what does Peter call Morse code again? Braille? He's trying to invent Braille across the multiverse.
Great. You need a messenger planeswalker. I think that's the best way to do it. But
yeah, I mean, so that would be what's used right now is like planeswalkers would travel between, and this is like just it would just be like a Morse code, like dee 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 dee, and you could just send a message to whatever plane you wanted to without anyone needing to travel, right? Cool. So obviously, huge money to be made if they can make it happen. Thunder Junction's been chosen as it is like this source of a lot of energy. The thunder magic that's present here is like a lot of energy. And
just trains with like those like circular things that normally have gas in them, but full of thunder.
Hell yeah,
yeah, like shipping out thunder. How do you like move thunder? I don't
know. They use like big towers, which they like shoot thunder at each other. Essentially, these big like relay towers, kind of like how do you move thunder? The same way we move electricity, I guess. Real answer to it. I have a thunder powered car.
That's pretty fucking cool, man. That's great. You got a thunder car. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. It's white, so it's order, I guess. So, nice. Connected by the Omenport Express is the town of Prosperity, a wealthy metropolis under the control of the Sterling Company. This plane's parallel to the Pinkertons. So the Pinkertons are like proto FBI PI agency that was just like super racist and was like notorious union busters back in the day. They used to like infiltrate unions and like cause a whole bunch of mayhem. Weed
out the last of the bandits or the last of the cow folk in because they're very big in Red Dead.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, they would be the villains and pretty much any Western made today. The Pinkertons are always going to be a bad guy. I don't know about Pinkertons. I don't think were ever good guys in Westerns. I'm trying to think of an example where they were like good. I'm sure somebody, some right winger has made a Western where the Pinkertons are the good guys. You know what I mean? But like, I can't think of any.
I don't know, Dutch. Them Pinkertons have been sniffing around way too much for us to hit that bank. It's like, nice try. Fucking, what do they call him? Something lung, black lung. I fucking hate Micah, dude. Micah's the worst. Oh, don't get me started. But anyways,
I won't. I wouldn't have got you started because I don't know Mike. I've never experienced Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay.
I'm sure I would like it, but I can't. I don't. Just I bounce off. I bounce off.
If you had infinite time, you would enjoy it a lot more because it's a real take your time, enjoy it kind of game. Yeah. But you're a busy lad, you know.
Which
who's got time?
Comes at a premium these days for sure. Time. I tried Red Dead Redemption 1 back in the day, and just the controls of Rockstar games. I find like the actual gameplay annoying. I like the story, I like the setting, but I find the actual game like, I don't know, not for me. I guess my hands don't work that way. So there is some irony here. WotC, who creates Magic the Gathering, did hire Pinkertons in 2022 and sent them to 2022 or 2023 maybe. Sent them to a content creator and true fans' house after they accidentally sent him like cards, like leaked cards to him. They sent him cards too early. He was a content creator, so I guess he was supposed to get like some early packs. They sent them to him too early. And rather than like sending him an email being like, hey, don't open those, don't show anything, you know, whatever, they hired Pinkertons and sent them to his house to intimidate him and steal them back, basically.
Crazy, man.
Which is funny after we just had this conversation about why they're the bad guys in every Western.
Dude, it's sad.
So run by Bertram Greywater, great cowboy name, or great Western name. The Sterling Company believes that the way to bring order to this Wild West is to have one person get all the money, then they can be the boss, right? That's the dream, which again is pretty much how the Pinkertons operated. The Dollop, direct inspiration from this show. Don't look it up. They do a great episode on the Pinkertons if anyone wants to learn about them. So the Sterling Company is pretty much the only government on the plane, having written the laws and being the arbiters of justice, which I say with air quotes because Greywater's on record saying the only law that matters is to never stand in the way of profit. So
that's based and true still today.
Based and true-pilled.
Yeah.
Juxtaposed with them is the outlaw faction of the Hellspurs. In a plane mostly populated by desperados out to stake their own claim, the Hellspurs are the worst of the worst, the hardest, most ruthless band of ne'er-do-wells. The Hellspurs are naturally led by one bad dude, Akul, whom I sent you a picture of.
Dude, are there skeletons in the gang, and do they call them bone spurs?
There will be a skeleton in the gang. They call him Tiny Bones, I think, or Little Bones. I just wrote the script today, and I can't remember. But he is the only character that I want to spend any time talking about aesthetically, because he is just he's a very pleasing.
Okay, so Akul, in the bonus we talked about that demon that I'm stuck on in Dark Souls that has all the fucking appendages and limbs, and this is ringing a lot. Yeah, Better Chaos, looking a lot like that. He's got what looks like almost like a pincer, but it's almost like draconic face like on his arms. And he's got like a tail that looks like it has like almost like a halo energy sword of fire on the back. And like he's got these huge sprawling wings with like thorns underneath, like curling thorns. And oh man, his face is almost like insect like. He's got these tiny beady eyes and what looks like these pincers, and he's just awful looking. Too many legs, too many arms, wings, and a tail.
Yeah, this is the only reason why I regret Pete not being here for this episode, because I wanted to show him this thing because I thought he would really enjoy how cool it looks. You nailed it though. With he's got pincers and draconic features. Akul is a scorpion dragon.
Okay.
So he has a chitinous shell, massive claws, and a venom-filled stinger, as well as the dragon wings, golden eyes. He has mandibles like a scorpion. He has scales all over his skin, and the scales on his chest glow with thunder when angry.
Wow. And what's in the background of him is what looks like a whole town being blown to smithereens. So.
Yeah, which is on brand for him and his ilk for sure.
Yeah. Do you like that I use smithereens on the cowboy?
That is good. Yeah, I didn't even clock it, but thank you for staying in character. Really, it's helping the immersion of this like very truthful retelling of the story of Thunder Junction. He left his home of Gastal across the Omen Pass to wind up on Thunder Junction, where he quickly tried to break into Mag Taranau. Akul learned, however, that the vault not only had a key, but that the key had been split into 6 pieces by whoever built the vault. So now we have our here's the thing that we got to go get for the story, right?
Yeah.
While he has scoured the plane looking for the pieces, his gang built the town of Tarnation surrounding Mag Taranau so he could ensure if anyone else showed up with the key, he'd be able to take it from them. So the entire town of Tarnation is a bandit town, essentially. Nice. Most people don't know where Mag Taranau is. Most people think it is like a story, like a fairy tale, including our main character. They don't believe necessarily that it's real when they first set out on this mission that they're going to go on.
If I've learned anything from Dragon Ball Z, dude, you don't need to get all the pieces of the keys. You just need to get one, and you let some guy fucking go get the other 5 and come looking for the last one, and then you take the 5 from him.
There you go.
All I need is one, because he's got to come to you at some point.
I mean, there's something there for sure.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if that's what they do here. Not in this arc anyway. Maybe we'll find out next time.
We'll see.
That's the setting, though. So that's the setting of Thunder Junction. Let's talk now about the heist of the vault of Mag Taranau.
Okay. I just want to check in. I feel like we're in Thunder Junction right now. It's warm. Do you think there's like a dust
tumbleweed for sure?
Tumbleweeds going. Do you think there's sounds? Like, do we hear thunder like while it's being transported through the wires or however? Is there a low rumble?
Yeah, I mean, I love the image of like a train like rolling across the vista, like in the distance, and it sounds like thunder rolling across the tracks.
Right. That's very cool. It's like it's at dusk and you can't tell the difference between the thunder and the trains anymore. And there's cactuses that might be people out there. You better not go out at night.
Yeah.
And well, if you're a vampire, especially, because that's when you really go out, and then you can't eat those fuckers. So.
I mean. I have a quote later on towards the end of this episode that I will say, like it mentions like thunder sounds or whatever, and I had to read it like 4 or 5 times just like while I was putting the script together, and on like the 5th time I was like, oh, they're shooting the guns. They're shooting their guns at him. It's not that there's just random thunder that sounds. They're shooting their guns, and that's what the thunder sound is. So
that's cool. So, yeah, there's like a lot of uses for that. Okay. I'm there. It's hot where I am right now. I feel like we're
perfect.
Really there.
It's a little too humid though for the desert probably. So
true.
So our story begins as so many magic stories do, with a lone protagonist and some mortal danger for them. Right? Archie Dixon, great cowboy name, had been hired by the Sterling Company as a courier. With him were 2 Sterling Company guards. And the story begins with a bandana-covered man exiting an omen path to drop a satchel into Archie's hands. So he's standing in front of an omen path gate. He's been hired by the Sterling Company, the Pinkertons, as a courier. And somebody comes from another plane, hands him something, and says, like, get going, Haas.
Wow, the sound of a portal opening, and there's like ching, ching, ching of the boots. It passes off the thing. Okay, I'm there. We're here.
Archie and the Sterling Company guards climb into the carriage and begin making their way across the sandy wilderness of Thunder Junction. Little do we know, nor Archie at this point, is that the Sterling Company has located the 6th key to the vault of Mag Taranau. It was located off-plane. So.
Oh, wow. They really went... That's some pretty far lengths to go to hide a key, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, so... I mean, I wasn't going to talk about the people who'd built Mag Taranau. I don't know if they're the ones who brought the key off plane. Again, like this was an empty plane. There was nothing else here except for this one building. And it's very, very old. And like why they did the things that they did, we'll talk about it a little bit on the next episode. But they absolutely had the means to travel the planes. So,
okay.
Yeah, we'll talk a bit more about it next time. I do have a quote. It is a long one. Feel free to cut in if something strikes your fancy. This is from Akemi Don Bowman's. All of this is from Akemi Don Bowman's Outlaws of Thunder Junction story on Magic the Gathering, or the Magic the Gathering story site. So here we go. A wall of fire erupted in a swooping blaze, creating an impenetrable circle around the carriage. The horses reared in alarm, and the vehicle shuddered to a stop, causing Archie's head to crack against the window frame. He winced, eyes fluttering, and watched in horror as the 2 guards leapt to the sand and drew their weapons. "What is it?" Archie asked hurriedly, stomach filling with dread. "Hell spurs," one of the guards muttered. The other tightened his grip around his thunder rifle in response. Several figures appeared through the wall of fire, unaffected by the flames that hissed and snapped around them. They fired their weapons at the guards without warning, sending blasts of energy scattering across the sand. Nearly a dozen holes appeared across the side of the carriage, and the Sterling guards fell immediately. When the only sound left in the desert was the crackle of fire, the strangers lowered their weapons. The group parted down the middle, making way for a large figure who stalked forward, spurred talons clinking beneath him. Firelight cascaded over the dragon's looming frame, making the scales across his upper body appear to flicker. There was no mistaking the leader of the Hellspurs, not in the desert, where his name carried so much fear. Akul.
Oh.
The dragon clacked his strange mandibles, pulled his tail back, and cracked it against the carriage like a whip, splitting what was left of the vehicle in two. Archie sat in a pool of blood, still clutching the bag. His mortality was slipping away with every staggered breath, eyes wide with panic. Akul barely seemed to notice him at all. The dragon plucked the burlap sack from Archie's dying grasp and puffed his chest in triumph. Finally, the last key is mine. With a single claw, he sliced the bag open. A few lumps of coal tumbled into his open palm, and he hissed, golden eyes blazing with rage. Akul snarled, crushing a fist around the coal until the fine black powder seeped through his claws. He spun, tail thrashing, and roared into the vast desert. Inside the broken carriage, Archie Dixon watched the Hellspurs taking a few steps back as Akul set fire to the sand around him. Archie felt the flames grow close, but his mind was already fading. So we have a bit of a switcheroo here.
Yeah.
And I hope I did a good job bearing the lead, because I think Akemi Don Bowman did a very good job bearing the lead. Archie's no planeswalker. This is no planeswalker spark igniting. He's just a red shirt for the start of the story. And this guy just fucking dies, dude.
He got thunderstruck.
Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam. That's crazy, dude. I like the way that he like cleft the what you call it, the carriage in twain. Yeah, that's
Mark
crazy.
Twain, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mark Twain.
Yeah, hits it with his tail. Just this huge scorpion dragon fucking around in the desert.
It was a cool image. The fire like lighting around and the horses rearing. Like you can imagine that. That's cool.
Yeah. So, just a quick side tangent. Like Akemi Don Bowman of all the stories is quickly becoming my favorite Magic the Gathering writer. I think I thought this was such a fun parallel, because when I was reading it, I was like, I didn't know any of the characters going in. You know, I haven't looked at the cards or like read the set at all. I just engaged with the story really at this point. And I went in thinking like, oh, this guy's going to be a planeswalker or whatever. And it's this like the switcheroo being pulled on Akul, who thinks that the key is there. Is this happening at the same time as the switcheroo is being pulled on me? That I think this guy's going to have his planeswalker spark and be saved or whatever, right?
Yeah. What's that? There's a word for that. Anyways, it's very cool. Very, very cool.
So smash cut in the story, we have our actual protagonist of the story revealed to us, Annie Flash, whom I shared a picture of.
Dude, this is just a League of Legends character Annie flashing me, man. That's not cool.
I got him. Yeah, timbers on your head, idiot.
No, this is like she looks almost Native American, like in and she has like a cool cowboy hat though. And has like one of those hand swords, kind of like Halo sword.
Yeah, she's got like Halo on it. Energy sword for sure. Yeah. I mean, definitely some Native American styling. She's still very much a cowboy, I think, kind of like lending some of the motifs of the Native Americans. She is a former outlaw herself. She's a current member of the nomadic Atin people. So these people aren't from Thunder Junction, but there's some parallels.
Really from Thunder Junction.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So like they're not indigenous here, but there's like those characters that people do share some themes from Native American culture as well.
Well, yeah, the people who wrote this all grew up with cowboys and Indians like we did.
Yeah, exactly. Annie's story begins with her investigating the wreck of the carriage where Archie Dixon was killed. She can recognize the work of Akul. Back in her outlaw days, she had her fair share of run-ins with the dragon. She finds a strong box full of cash in the carriage.
Nice.
Evidence enough that Akul was after something much more important than money. The fact that he just like left this box full of money there. Though the last thing she wanted to do right now was to go up against him. So she has no business. She has like no interest in this. She essentially just like, hey, it's a payday. You know. She does have a grudge with Akul. Her nephew had been nearly killed, but instead left permanently crippled and in constant pain by a run-in with Akul's stinger.
Same thing happened to Pete after a common cold.
Yeah. He's literally crippled for life now because he got just sniffles. You got the sniffles. I woke up a few times. It was really rough. Annie grabs the cash and heads home, where she's surprised to find someone standing on her doorstep. The golden-haired man in pristine clothes says he's trekked through the desert to visit her. Annie, not the most trusting type, activates her magic eye, which is apparently a gift from an angel, and reveals that the man before her is shrouded in illusion. That is dropped on you in the story. No, as far as I can tell, never expanded on. I just cannot find. Maybe it was in the later story, and I missed it when I read, because I did read I read all 5 stories, but I read 4 and 5 only once. Whereas 1, 2, 3 I read a few times just to get the part that we're going to talk about down a little bit better. I could not figure out why an angel gave her an eye. I do know that the angels were fairly active during the Phyrexian invasion, trying to shut that whole thing down, right?
Right.
And Annie is known as a crack shot with a thunder rifle. So I'm going to say lore boys canon until we get more lore. Annie is just a veteran of the invasion, and she did something for an angel, saved an angel's life or something. And that's the angel gave her this magic eye. This magic eye lets her see through illusions. Pretty much any illusion, she can just see through it, which is a very valuable gift. The man before her is, in fact, not a man, but is a fae named Oko, from an unknown realm, here to offer Annie a job, robbing the vault of Mag Taranau.
Okay.
So I'll send you a picture. I'll send you a picture of Oko. A bit of a fuck boy for sure. But he, I mean, obviously he's a fae trickster who loves changing his appearance. So he probably usually doesn't even look like this. He's described as having golden hair in the story, and he clearly has, jet black hair in this picture.
Yeah, he's got like a fucking 12-pack, and he's letting them dogs breathe. Check them feet out.
Does he have a 12-pack, or is it an illusion? Right?
Yeah, I don't know, but there's like a little maple leaf on that.
Yeah, I know. He's got a perfect little maple leaf that's just fallen onto his 12-pack.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's a bad shirt. It's got one sleeve. Not even 2 sleeves.
Yeah, I wonder what the use of that is, huh? It's...
Keep your left arm cool. Keep your right arm warm.
I guess so, yeah.
Keep your shooting arm warm.
He does have like what looks like to be a belt that wraps around about 3 times.
Yeah, that's also a classic. Belt's too long. Sorry, I got this in XXXXXXXXL.
It's so many shifts. If he becomes a really big guy, he still has a belt.
You can just adjust his belt. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Annie doesn't even believe that Mag Taranau is real. And if it'll cross a Cool, she wants even less to do with the whole thing. Oko persuades her with a subtle, well, if I can find you, I'm sure a Cool can too, kind of hinting I'll tell him where, if you don't help me, I'll tell him where you are. Because she seems to be on the hiding out from a Cool, whatever their history was. So that night, Annie digs up her thunder rifle and heads out to meet her newfound posse.
How do you load a thunder rifle?
It's like a little crank. You
leave it out at night whenever it's stormy. And let it get hit a couple times. I like the
in the pitch of battle, midday, desperately trying to clean off a little solar panel, trying to rub the dust and blood off of it so I can get another charge.
You got a pocket full of AA batteries that you gotta fumble in, and the springs aren't right. And
Okay. The gang that Oko has drawn together to rob the vault is kind of a who's who in the Magic the Gathering canon. I won't spend too much time on each one. Listeners at home, if you know who I'm talking about, have that nice moment to yourself. I won't force Jamie to describe each of them. I do think that we should talk a little bit about Tiny Bones the skeleton, because I think he's adorable, but that's the only one that I'm really keen on. You would have heard of some of these before, Jimmy, and I'll point you to the episodes where we talked about them, but for the most part, you don't need to know their history. You haven't heard about Tiny Bones.
That's what my ex-girlfriend used to call me.
Yeah. So I won't spend too much time on each one. I do have pictures for you, though, for you to just enjoy. I don't know if we have to describe each one, but I will post. The pictures will be posted for the patrons in the Discord. So if you want to get a look at them, you can either Google the name with MTG right after it, or you can give us money every month. And I've Googled them for you.
Just $1 a boy, and you can get 120 extra episodes and a bunch of extra stuff. Yeah,
and all these pictures.
Yep.
And he finds the group in the town of Rustwood in the abandoned Wildcard Saloon. First, we meet Breeches and Tiny Bones, a blue-furred goblin, and a tiny animate skeleton. So, I do, again, want to talk about Tiny Bones. He's very cute. He seems to be like a ball of magic that is able to just like, he's like a skeleton that will just like fall apart and then can like put itself back together. Like the bones will just like reassemble themselves, but he's like tiny.
That's like that game that Pete used to play with his mom that I don't remember the name of, where you play as a little skeleton and you run around all the time. Pete would know what I was talking about. His mom beat it with him.
Undertale.
No.
I think it was. Don't say no. Pete's not here, so.
Fair. Actually, you're right. Fair. It stands from Undertale, and the common cold crippled him for life. Yeah. It's true. Yes.
Yeah. I remember stands from Undertale. That's so cool. So Breeches is in charge of demolitions and or alchemy generally. Tiny Bones seems to be just like a pickpocket, general wild card, I think is a good way to describe him. We meet Gisa and Gerolf. Gisa and Gerolf. I don't remember how they pronounced it on the podcast. We've met these. I've talked briefly about these people before in the Markov Innistrad episode. Again, if the listeners want to go listen to that, you can. These are necromancers from that plane, Innistrad. One of them is a Gerolf, is kind of like a Dr. Frankenstein type. He's known as Stitcher Gerolf sometimes because he stitches zombie bodies back together to make these huge like abominations. He's their medic.
Gisa that abomination looks like the name one Stitches from the WoW universe too.
There you go,
yeah. And he's a Stitcher. And then what's the other lady?
Gisa or Gisa. I'm not sure which. Lisa with a G. And she is more summon zombies to kill rather than.
You've heard of the Mona Lisa, but how about the moaning Gisa? Huh? Got a bunch of those moaners following her around.
Exactly. Yeah. There's Malcolm, who's just a siren. He's like the lookout, I guess. There's Veraska, who's the second in command. She's a Gorgon, so she's like a Medusa. And she is second in command / muscle, I guess, assassin, generally dangerous person to be around. And we talked about her during our Ixalan episodes. That's, I believe, where she's from.
The Medusa has her feet directly in the crotch of a man, and he is turned fully to stone.
Yeah, he's rock hard.
From them cowboy boots. They're made for walking. Look at them. I love the guy in the background who looks so shocked as he got turned. He's like, look at me.
You're turning me to what?
You turned me to stone? And the eye monocle there.
The guy that she has her boots in the crotch of, he's like, well, I guess I better get my cane and walk out of here before you turn me into stone. He's like grabbing his cane from the
side. Yeah, waitress running in the back, or might be just like a lady, and like people laying on the ground. It's very dramatic, this scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we have Ariette, who's a fairy witch from Eldraine, the plane Eldraine. She has a specialty in charming people, so she can kind of like mind control people.
I was looking at her. I'm like, she can fix me.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen a reflection in her mirrored cloak, her mirrored hood? She looks like an old hag in reflection. You see?
Oh, I was completely distracted by her good looks in the front.
She's charmed you. That's what she does.
I fell for it.
Twists your mind. She has like a crystal apple, which she's clearly offering to you. The simp.
The crystal apple is your fucking tier 3 sub badge, yeah.
So the patron who put them up to all of this is another familiar face, Ashiok, the Dream Eater. We talked about very briefly at the end of our new Phyrexia 2 episode. He'd been creating dreams for Elish Norn, the Phyrexian Praetor. You might remember this, Jamie, because I think it was evocative enough for you. But like Elish Norn was having a dream that there was like a plant in her perfect machine garden that she kept like uprooting, and there was like blood and guts, and that was Ashiok causing her to dream when Phyrexians don't dream normally. That was Ashiok that had done that. So
he's so weird. Like only has a mouth on his face, and then from where the nose should be, his head splits into 2 horns, and there's no eyes, and it's just like your brain where you would create all your dreams is just like a black like smokiness for him. And he's pulling the dream straight out of the face like like the memory out of the head from Harry Potter with the wand, but he's pulling it out of the face with his hand. Very cool.
Very Guillermo del Toro, I think, like monster, very Pan's Labyrinth-esque, I guess.
True, yeah.
And yeah, that's the pulling the thoughts out of the brain. Like that's kind of his role in this. So he's the one who's put them up to all this. He does tell them up front, like Annie Flash at some point asks, like, "Hey, what's in the vault? What are we going to get or whatever?" And I believe it is Tiny Bones. It's either Tiny Bones or Breeches. Basically shouts out like raw power is in the vault. That's what we're going to get. And Ashiok kind of cuts in and says, like, that's my business. What's in the vault is mine. I am paying you and I'm paying everyone else here to get it for me. But what's in there is mine. What he can contribute to the gang is information extraction, basically. So he can like go into people's minds and get the information on like, where is the vault? What is the key? Like all that stuff he can harvest from their heads.
I like that the when he pulls the thought out of the head in his hand, it almost looks like a galaxy rotating.
It's very Spiral Galaxy-esque for sure.
Yeah, it just makes me think of like recursiveness of like your world is your galaxy, but also like in your head is also its own small galaxy, and very recursive, very cool. Good art.
Yeah, I mean, the art of magic rarely misses, right?
Yeah.
Finally, one big bad from Ravnica, whom I did mention earlier. And whom I said this is the funniest one to picture in a cowboy hat and like chaps.
True. They all dress up like I forgot about that part.
That's what I mean. It's so funny to think of this, man. Like, this guy's from Ravnica. He is given the name. So we kind of talked about magic cards have colors, right? There's white, blue, black, red, green. When you pair those colors, there's like established names for pairings of colors. One of those pairings is black-red, known as Rakdos, named for this guy. He's going to be the muscle, and you can take a moment, I think, to describe this one because
a giant demon with flame bursting from its horned head, huge, muscly, sinewy, covered in spikes and chains. He has a scythe with the blade made of fire. Huge wing, like basically like the biggest, baddest demon you could think of with a flaming scythe. Yeah.
Yeah, and now here's a picture of him being all wacky with
cowboy. I forgot.
He doesn't have a cowboy hat, but he does have like a bandolier. It's just
this is a .avif file.
Hold on,
Should I open that?
No, I can post you a better. I mean, you could open it. It's not going to blow up your computer, but I'll post you a better one. It's just easier to experience.
Never seen an avif. Oh, he looks so silly with his tongue out here.
Right, he's just having a good old time, man.
Yeah, I feel like first picture him in the books. Second picture, him in the like card game that's on mobile or something, where it's like gotta be like fun and like more digestible to the general masses. But yeah, he's like smashing a house. Instead of the giant scythe, he has like the split double scythe in each hand.
Two little sickles.
Silly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was his first printing, but the first card I saw him on was he's called Rakdos, Lord of Riots, which I think is like very fitting for his thing. He just like he loves that chaos, he loves that destruction. He just wants to basically.
Yeah.
Before the team can break into Mag Tyranny, if you can believe it, this is in everyone. There's a few prisoners of the Sterling Company that they need to rescue first. But more on that after the break. The first score is to break into the Sterling Company headquarters and free the last two members of the team, Karavek and Satoru Umezawa. Satoru Umezawa might sound familiar to you. We've talked about the Umezawa line a few times. I said a few sentences about Satoru in the Neon Dynasty episode.
I remember what my thought was the last time I heard that name, which is, ooh, Umezawa, ooh, we got the power. Umezawa, they got thunder power. Yeah.
Yeah, they got thunder power. Ooh, Umezawa, Pete's taking a shower. Umezawa.
He's too sick to take a shower, dude.
Oh, that's true, dude. Yeah.
He couldn't do that.
Yeah, well, he'd have to unplug all the diodes and the cathodes that he has like hooked up to his chest and head, because he's dying from that nasty cold virus. It's a virus,
that monkey, dude. He's that monkey.
Yeah, the chimpanzee.
Just dying.
Pete like dragging his oxygen tank over to the shower, just like stumbling in the bathroom.
The common cold. He was comfortable bringing it to my bed, but I guess it's too much for podcasts. Yeah, okay. Anyways, you guys get mad at him too. Maybe he'll be more consistent.
So they have to rescue these two people because they're part of the gang. They're not going to leave them out to dry, I guess. Kervek, Satoru Umezawa, Annie, our protag, and Ariette, the simp queen, break into the jail where they're being held. Ariette using her charm magic on the guards, with Annie using her magic eye to see through the illusions hiding the prison cells. They arrive. They find two people in opposite cells bickering with each other like an old married couple. The first was Satoru Umezawa, leader of the Reckoners, whom we met when talking about Kato Shizuki and him dealing with the gangs on Kamigawa.
I remember Kato.
I sent you a picture of what Satoru looks like. I think I've shared this exact picture before. But he's a leader of thieves, and he's their lock picker. That's his job. Different from the pickpocket Tiny Bones. Across from him,
he's from the Kamigawa setting.
Yeah, he's from the cyberpunk Neon Dynasty era of the Kamigawa setting specifically. So
they're very like neon spirits around him, and those are the kami. What are the spirits in that again?
Neon Dynasty, you might say spirits. Kami are the spirits of Kamigawa.
Okay, cool.
Across from him, treating him like an old battle axe, is Kervek, an ambitious mage from the state of Urborg on Dominaria. We've never talked about Kervek before, I don't think. He's novel to me. He is from Dominaria, from Urborg specifically, which is the black-aligned part of Dominaria. Once a criminal, always a criminal. Kervek had been imprisoned on Dominaria by a mage known as Mangara, who I'm only mentioning because people will know the card Mangara, in a prison city known as Aku. However, when Teferi did some timey-wimey phase shift bullshit on the plane, the kingdom of Zalfir, including the city of Aku, had been phased out of existence, then lost in the time streams when Jessica interfered a bit. You can listen to our 5-part Jessica series if you want to hear about Teferi phasing an entire continent out of existence and then losing it. Ultimately, Teferi would later find the plane of Zalfir, like the wreck of a drunk driver, with Kervek's amber prison door peeled open and no sign of the mage. As far as we can tell, this is where he came next, Thunder Junction. He's just more muscle. And he's a real rude dude as well. He's kind of a wild card in a lot of ways, I guess, too. The more like he's like the violent wild card, you know what I mean? The guy who's like a little psychotic and is going to go too far, killing people, have too much fun killing people.
He's a loose spark, a loose cannon. He looks like he's using electric like he's using thunder magic, but people are burning. I guess if you thunder someone enough, they would catch on fire. I don't know. Need to check that out. I'm gonna watch some OSHA videos later tonight. See what happens.
So Annie, Ariette, and Kerzek make their way out, aiming to rejoin the group. Umezawa sets off to find Oko, who had used his glamours to enter the building, the headquarters of the Sterling Company, and has started making his way to Greywater's office. So he's going after Greywater's office to find something there. Tucked under Oko's arm was a parcel containing Tiny Bones, which I only mentioned because, again, he's so fun. He's just very fun throughout this whole story. Umezawa joins them in the office, finds his way there, sneaking around in the shadows. They pull the portrait off the wall, which reveals a wall safe underneath. And within, there's something we only hear described as the 6th key. We know it's the final piece of the key to Magternau that they have found. Again, this was off plane at some point. The Greywater Company had located it. The Greywater Company had sent somebody to get it and bring it to Thunder Junction so that they could get into the vault of Magternau, and had put a bag full of coal on one carriage to obfuscate their actual plan. Right, so they had hired Archie Dixon at the beginning of the story to die to secure this key by having a bag of coal and dying for that.
I mean, yeah, we've all heard of dying of the cold, but not dying of coal.
Yeah. So Greywater knew that Akul was after the key, probably didn't know that there were others who were after the key. So they would have been on the lookout for Hellspurs, who probably operate in a very different fashion than this like stealth mission, they probably would have like come in like, yeehaw, very Yosemite Sam, guns blazing, like, dance for my partner. Yeah, rootin' and tootin' is the only way to describe the Hellspurs, I think, for sure.
Yeah, okay.
So Oko grabs the key, and the group manages to leave the headquarters unassaulted. I wrote assaulted, but unassaulted is definitely what I meant to write. Unmolested, if you will. I have another quote for you here. Halfway down the road, Oko crossed paths with a small group on their way to the Sterling Company headquarters. The man in the center had black hair with thick silver streaks along the sides. He was flanked by 2 bodyguards. They'd never met before, but Oko recognized the man's face. He was well known on Thunder Junction. A planeswalker, just like Oko. Ral Zarek. Except it wasn't Ral who made Oko stop in his tracks, nor was it the burly armed guard that seemed hungry for a fight. It was the boy with the messy black hair and pointed ears. The fey magic that ran through their veins. It was easy to sense. Judging by the look on the boy's face, he'd recognized Oko's magic too. Oko stiffened, and his illusion faded away without warning, unable to hold in the presence of a fey he hadn't expected. In an instant, he was Oko again, with no mask and no disguise. Who? Ral started in alarm when his eyes fell to the box in Oko's arms. So Oko and Tinybones, I mean, they'd nearly made it out scot-free. They did part ways with Umezawa. Umezawa was basically like, you guys go, I'll get out myself. Right. When they cross another fey on the way to regroup. Oko's all shook up. To me, it seems a bit extreme for just seeing another fey to be like, yeah, what do I do? Another white person, what do I do? Maybe there's a bit more recognition there than just with another fey, but we'll talk about that a bit later. Before they can hash it out, however, Ral Zarek, legendary lightning mage, who is currently collaborating with the Sterling Company on the creation of the Omen Path relays to create interplanar communication lines. Remember him?
Yes.
Had found them and caught them red-handed with some stolen Sterling Company goods. So I send you a picture of Ral Zarek just for fun. He's the most, always been one of the douchiest looking characters in the game.
Yeah, the chin up, eyes squinted, looking down with like a smirk on his smile. Like he does look pretty douchey. Yeah. He looks like he knows better than you about everything, and I don't, or he thinks he does. Anyways, I don't like him.
No,
I don't like him.
It's too bad because I really like. Is it the red blue? Like, is the color pairing of like that's like the guild that he's on Ravnica? We did a Ravnica episode ages and ages and ages ago where we talked about the guilds and the guild pact. But the Is It guild is like the very much like the leaders in. So blue is very intelligent and red is very like reckless. So it is very much like scientific progress at any cost, kind of.
That's not a good way to be.
No, probably not. So the quote continues. Tinybones popped his head out. Ral's bodyguard lunged forward, but Oko was quick. He ducked, swift and sharp, and landed a blow right to the guard's throat, forcing him to his knees. Tinybones removed his femur and jumped from the box, cracking the bone hard against Ral's temple, who clutched his head, stunned. Again, you can see why I like Tinybones the most. He just like takes his own femur and uses it as a club. It's adorable.
Yeah, and like just the ability to just like rattle into a pile of bones is very cute, and he's tiny, and
they talk about like earlier in this when he's in the box when they sneak into the office, then they find the key and then he gets back into the box. They describe him like he's like climbing to the box and he's like pushing his head because he can't like quite fit and he like shoves it in just enough and then just like collapses into a pile of bones essentially. It's all this is a very enjoyable character. Sorry, the quote continues. The Fey Boy froze, and Oko didn't wait around to find out why. He shapeshifted into a large eagle, stretching his wings as Tinybones scrambled up Oko's back and gripped his feathers for dear life. Oko took off towards the hills just as the Sterling Company guards began to react. Follow him, Ral's voice boomed up the hillside. Thunder erupted in the sky. Again, these are the guns that I was like, why is it suddenly thundering? And Oko made several sharp turns to avoid being hit. Tinybones' hat fell to the ground, and he gave an irritated rattle as he clutched Oko's neck. The ridgeline was close, but there was little cover beyond the towering boulders, and every Sterling guard was armed. If Oko moved out into the open, he'd be at a disadvantage. He dove low and immediately shapeshifted back into his true form, inches from the ground. Tinybones leapt off his shoulder, stuttering at the unplanned flight. The bear hid behind one of the tall rocks and braced for a fight. All Oko had to do was hold him off until the rest of the team arrived. The Fey Boy appeared in the sky, golden dust trailing at his feet. He landed several feet away, eyes wild with urgency. Oko charged, but the boy only raised his hands, pleading. So, they're on the run now. They're on the lam, cover's blown, right? They meet this Fey Boy who can fly, has golden dust on his feet, has a Tinkerbell dust that lets him fly, essentially.
Mm.
The boy we learn is Kellen, and then we also learn that it is Oko's estranged son from Eldraine. Oko is not from Eldraine, but he did sire a boy on Eldraine.
Helen Heller?
Yeah, exactly. Helen Heller. He's got super hearing, super seeing, and super talking.
Wow.
He's here on Thunder Junction looking for his father. He's been looking for Oko. He's been in a few sets. Like he was new to me when I read this story, essentially. And I'll give you a picture of him. But he's been in a few sets, and throughout all of those, he was kind of looking for his father. I guess this is the set that he finally catches up with his father. However, the reunion is interrupted as the Sterling Company guards surround the trio, Tiny Bones still clinging to Oko's neck. While a couple of goons weren't much to deal with for a powerful fae like Oko, Ral Zarek, planeswalker and chief researcher for the Izzet Guild on Ravnica, was another story altogether. So
if there ever is, what's the name of the boy looking for his father?
Kellen.
Kellen Heller. Okay, if Kellen Heller ever gets played by someone, it's got to be Timothée Chalamet, right?
Timothée Chalamet, for sure. I mean, I think this art was straight up, they must have drawn him, right?
Right?
The art that I shared, for sure.
Him. Yeah, it looks so much like him.
I mean, the nose is just like it 1-to-1, pretty much.
Yeah, it just
brows. Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of like, yeah.
The chin, even. It's all there. So in your mind's eye, you don't even need to subscribe to our Patreon anymore. Just picture Timothée Chalamet.
Absolutely.
Honestly, just picture Timothée Chalamet for all the characters, and it'll just be a better story for you. So
just a bunch of Timothée Chalamets and cowboy hats.
A room full of 10-gallon hat wearing Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah. Now they're gonna think it's a Dune episode.
I mean, you'd think there'd be more cowboy hats in Dune with all that snow and sun.
Dude, yeah, it's true. The sand and sun, you mean, right? Not snow.
Did I say snow? Yeah, I did mean sand and sun.
Yeah, baby's been not sleeping a whole lot lately, which means Ethan's not been sleeping a whole lot.
I've also drank most of a bottle of wine at this point, so might have something to do with it. Yeah, there's barely, I don't know if there's any snow in Dune.
No, it would be pretty coveted if it would. Water's pretty valuable.
Right. There'd just be like some rich douchebag who had like a ski hill a private ski hill that they'd opened up, and they were just like gathering all the Harkonnens would have a private ski hill that they were using the water to make snow for to ski on.
Whatever the video game is that is like the hot golf game, like PGA Tour or whatever it is these days, Tiger Woods is 2024. They made Arrakis as yeah, and their golf courses.
Oops, all bunkers.
Yeah, it's a ton of bunkers, but there's also a lot of grass. And then it made me think of the scene in Dune where they're like, this tree drinks for 10 people per week. I'm like, what the fuck does the golf course drink?
I mean, golf courses, like that is like the real world metaphor is like golf courses are a tremendous waste of water, right? Like even for us in like California, like it's probably unethical to have golf courses, and like people deserve leisure and fun and all that stuff. And like if golf's your thing, like more power to you. But like there is an argument to be made that like, the state's on fire. We should probably chill with the golf courses. But
we drove by a golf course the other day when we were on the way to the farm, and Luis was in the back. He's like, dude, I've always wanted to go to a golf course with my pockets full of seeds and just seed the fucking place. Just plant a bunch of random plants everywhere and fuck up their grass. That would be fun.
That is pretty chaotic. I do. I feel like they have to be. I mean, wild plants will grow. I feel like they have to know how to deal with it, right? You would be giving some guy making $18 an hour a lot more work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. that's where my stepbrother used to work, and it wasn't $18 an hour when he was there. But anyways,
that's the problem with like guerrilla protesting capitalism is like you're just hurting other workers in the system because the rich have shielded themselves. Really, what you got to do is go to their houses and kill them and eat them.
Yum.
So the quote continues a little bit. Yeah, get them gluteus maximuses. Yeah. Zuckerberg's got a donk, so he'll feed a family of 4 with that ass.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even have anything to add. It's true,
Shit. Yeah. Great color commentary from James. So I got another quote. Then we'll just kind of wrap this Timothée Chalamet show up, huh?
Dude, I'm still looking at pictures of Timothée Chalamet.
He's a gorgeous
man. Look at this. Oh my
There's
goodness.
something about it. Like, he's clearly very gorgeous. I hope he doesn't get a lot of work done because he looks like the type of person who would, like, as he ages, like, get his like cheekbones shaved and stuff like that. But I think he will turn into a genuinely very handsome man as he gets older if he just like lets it go.
He's kind of boyish right now, and
Well, that's
like
it. That's the point where he can grow a beard and he can cover those. Oh, I mean, I feel like Anyway, I feel things, man. Okay,
we're gonna have to move on, or else it's just we're gonna have to take a second break here.
Yeah. I am drinking a rosé wine, and as Pete's dad would say, that's the gay wine. So
true. He would say that.
He would say that to his son dying of a cold in the hospital. Pete, before you go,
dude, rosé's the gay bag, one. Yeah, that IV bag, kind of gay, dude. Yeah.
So here's a quote. Ral stepped through the cloud of dust left behind, studying Kellen with a mixture of shock and disappointment. Mind explaining what you're doing, kid? I'm sorry, Kellen said, face crumpling. I didn't plan any of this. Blue electricity spun around Ral's fingers, and the sky seemed to darken above him. Behind his eyes was building a storm. He lifted his hands, fingers sparkling with magic, when the electricity suddenly fizzled. Ral opened his mouth and blinked. Vraska? Oko looked over his shoulder and found his crew standing in wait. Vraska stepped forward, narrow features pinched tight. The deep scars stretched across her skin appeared more prominent in the sunlight. I know, she said, slow and intentional, like the worst kinds of poison. You thought I was dead. Rakdos slammed into the earth beside Ral, wings spread wide and the desert sun blaring behind him. Recognition spread across Ral's face, but before he could say anything at all, Rakdos swung a boulder-sized fist into the lightning mage and sent him skidding off into the dust. So they've got the 6th key. That's where we're at right now. They've got +1 6th key, +1, +2 other agents, other posse members, +1 son of Oko, the ringleader. Ral recognizes Rakdos, obviously. They're from the same place. They're different guild masters, essentially.
How about instead of jeweler, we call them ringleaders?
Yeah, that makes some sense. I feel like, do they lead? I guess they're industry leaders in ring making. I feel like ringleaders is only reserved for like those who are really innovating the jewelry profession. You know what I mean? To be a ringleader, not just, you can't just be making a gold band. Any Joe Schmo can make a gold band.
Sure. Does it come from a circus thing?
No, it must from be, ringleader? Right?
Yeah,
ringleader's I don't know where it comes from originally.
Okay.
Well, ringleader etymology. I really have 3 sentences left in this episode, but now we're Googling the etymology of ringleader.
Oh, well, we got to get to the bottom of this, Ethan. Don't fuck out early. Okay.
Hey, I'm the one Googling it. Don't get me wrong. The word ringleader is derived from the phrase ring of thieves, which refers to a group of thieves who work together in a coordinated way, like a ring. The word ring in this context refers to a circle or closed group, while leader refers to the person who directs or guides the group.
Oh, that's fun. You think thieves do like the ring around the rosy when they get together? You know, they all hold hands. And
well, they did. Yeah. They did back in the day, right? Before there was like television and stuff to do. That's like all anybody did. They all like sung songs and like did crazy shit like that.
Tangent on a tangent, ring around the rosy is like about plague or something like that. Like at the end where you all fall down, it's everybody dies because
I have heard that. Yeah. I don't know how true it is, but I have heard it.
Well, it's as true as a ring of thieves, I'd say.
Exactly. I mean, it is a thing that like back in the day, people would just like do anything. And I reference the Dollop a lot because I listen to a lot of the Dollop. I think it's very funny. But like they talk so often. There's like an oil boom in Texas, and there's like this one guy who's like not an oil company, and he's just trying to like stake his claim and like find oil essentially. So he buys a drill essentially and he's drilling, and like 3,000 people would show up every day to see if he'll strike oil. You know what I mean? Like there was nothing to fucking do. People would just walk for like 15 miles to go see like, let's go see if he's going to strike oil today. You know, the whole fucking family goes out and they all just like stand around and wait for nothing to happen. It's insane.
So happy I have a computer.
Yeah, right. Dude. So happy I never have to be alone with my thoughts. Fuck, dude.
Yeah, dude, I don't know how it works. It might as well be running on Thunder.
Yeah.
But, we can hang out from an hour away and I can play my video games. So it's good.
So Kellen is here. He'd been looking for his father throughout the multiverse. He is not a planeswalker like his father is. At least his spark is not ignited just yet, if he is. So he's been using the Omen Paths to travel, right? Looking for his father. He accompanies the group and his father as the latest addition to the gang. There's like some pushback at first, but Oko kind of justifies it to the others by highlighting that like yeah, well, like we can't just leave him to be interrogated by the Sterling Company after he's like just betrayed Raul Zarek, right? So everyone's kind of like, yeah, you're probably right. And this chapter ends with Oko basically having the internal dialogue that having a son who is so trusting might be something very useful indeed.
Ooh.
So,
bum. We got some betrayal cooking up for next time. It's in the crock pot.
Ring leader, more like ring loser. Okay, being a deadbeat dad's not cool.
Yeah, you might as well lose that ring if you're going to walk out on your wife and kid.
Yeah, exactly. He did. I guess he did. It wasn't his wife. It was just he's a planeswalker, so he kind of ended up on a plane, had a fling with a girl, didn't realize she got knocked up, and then left. Right,
dude. Yeah, planeswalker dads have a pretty bad reputation. I bet.
Absolutely, dude. When you can go to another dimension for milk or cigarettes, like it changes the game, dude.
Alimony can't planeswalk, dude.
I mean, really. I mean, these Omen Paths really have probably done a lot of deadbeat dads a disservice, right? Just like
I love that sentence, dude. Done a lot of deadbeat dads a disservice. It was a good alliteration, man. It's like poetry.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. If you like the show and you want more content, check out twitch.tv/loreboyjames, where you can get him playing Dark Souls for like 150 hours a week or something insane like that.
We did like 20 hours in the last week. I got some new Twitch achievements and stuff. Thanks to Sideshow and Honest Don again, along with everybody else who hangs out, my other mods, Chaz. We're getting we're starting to look like a real channel. We're getting into the third month of things, and things are growing. I'm feeling more dedicated, so I'm going to probably give you guys more time and stuff. So drop a follow there, and if you like this type of atmosphere, it's just a smaller continuation of Lore Boys community over there too. So just come on by, Lore Boy James on Twitch.
Yeah, and if you want to get in touch with us and see the broader community, I guess we do have a discord.gg/loreboys. It's great. It's fantastic, full of wonderful people. Honest Don spreading those messages of positivity. If you want to see for your fucking self, come check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Really, a really fun time in there. Over the break, not sure if you guys will hear any of the audio. Somebody was just hanging out in one of the chats, and Jamie decided to pull them into this channel so that we have their voice recorded. Maybe you'll hear them post credits. Who knows?
I'll slide it in somewhere. I was thinking maybe I would like sneak it in somewhere. So if you heard Forshy throughout the episode, you caught the Easter egg.
Yeah. Of course, if you want to support the show, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/theloreboys. Where we really have, it's as cheap as $3 a month, pretty much gets you access to everything. If you want to support more, we do have more tiers as well. We do sometimes offer things to those people who pay more, but mostly we offer our love and appreciation for everyone who gives us any amount of love and attention, really, and money, but mainly love and attention, but also money. If you, of course, want to just give us love and attention because you don't have any money, we do have Lore Boys Prime, always have. We are forming a posse, of course. It's really important. We got an outlaw on our hands that we're gonna have to round up. Yep. The dang guy that gave Pete a cold. As far as we can tell, it is Pete. As far as we know, so we do want him dead, not alive. Just not because we. Sorry, I shouldn't say want. Like that's the term. That's the industry term when you're a cowboy like us. You say wanted, dead or alive, or dead. But really, we know that he's going to be dead because he's died of a cold. So we understand that the only way you can deliver him to us is dead at this point. So get out there, try and find out where Pete lives, I think is what you can do for this week's Lore Boys. try and reel up his business, you know.
If you want a clue, try and find pictures when he posts about the weather. He posts it from his backyard, which takes pictures of surrounding houses. So get it to someone like Geo Rainbolt or whatever. They'll pinpoint it where it is.
No problem. Yeah. And just tell Mr. Rainbolt that it's for the Lore Boys podcast, and he won't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I can only assume, unless Mr. Rainbolt, you're a fan of the show, in which case, thank you for listening.
Yeah, that's super cool.
I think that would constitute a Lore Boys. No.
Very funny. Love it, guys. Bye bye.